Mayoral Memo with Mathew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.
And it's 14 away from 8. Oh, look, it's a Monday morning. So let's head on around and have a little chat around the region this morning in the Dubbo region. Mathew Dickerson, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kerry. Thanks for talking to me.
What's happening in your wonderful neck of the woods, sir?
Well, we had our monthly council meeting last week. I was almost about to say our ordinary council meeting, which is the official name of it, but it's never an ordinary meeting. So I always have a bit of a chuckle to myself when I think about the ordinary council meeting. That tends to mean there's going to be some great council meetings and some extraordinary council meetings, a whole range of different ones. But no, it's just an ordinary one. But a couple of things from that. We did talk about it a couple of weeks ago, and it was a proposal at that stage, more discussion to be had, but we resolved officially to move our council chambers. And I have had some feedback from some former councillors who aren't very happy about this proposal, or this now is a resolution. So the council area where we meet each month, have our ordinary council meetings, that will now be used for office space for our staff, and we'll move downstairs to our committee and meeting rooms, and they'll be reconfigured twice a month for our council meetings. And I think that makes better use of the space. It makes sense economically, but I also understand the reservations of some that it takes away some of the gravatas of the council meeting area.
Yeah, but still, it's something that needs to be done, though, obviously.
Yeah, I think so.
From a space point of view.
Yeah, that makes sense. The other thing that we had through our council meeting last week was an analysis of the short-term worker accommodation with all of these projects that are happening around the area, the renewable energy zone, inland rail maintenance facility, a whole range of different projects. We've anecdotally talked about how much we might need in terms of accommodation, but my old joke is that the plural of anecdote is anecdotes. It's not data. So we thought we'd actually get some data. And we'd said roughly we might need 5,000 people over the next 5 years, or accommodation for 5,000 people. But it actually turns out that it's closer to 6,000 people over the next 5 years, and probably going through for the next decade we'll need that accommodation. And there's enough pressure on housing at the moment with people just wanting to live out here because of the great mayor we've got in Dubbo. But there's actually more and more people who will be out here for a whole range of other reasons as well. So that puts a fair bit of pressure on our housing.
Can I just say, before you go any further, that self-praise is not really a good recommendation.
You've got to get it any way you can get it, Kerry.
Particularly under current circumstances. Yeah, right.
Actually, today, while talking on self-praise, just a little bit of trivia for you there, Kerry. 19 years ago today, there were 6 new councillors elected to Dubbo City Council, as it was known in those days, and we had 12 councillors. So it was seen as a real broom put through the council of the day. And those 6 new councillors were Peter Bartley, Paul Loxley, Bobby Thompson, Rod Towney, Kim Williams, and myself. So it's 19 years ago today that I was first elected to council.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I thought might be worth mentioning from our discussion from our council meeting last week was a discussion or a potential changing of the way we charge the airlines to use our airport. Now, most airlines across the nation, probably across the world, pay a per passenger fee to the airport. So someone lands, they pay $15, $20, whatever it is per person. Our staff put forward a recommendation to change how we charge, where they would actually charge a maximum takeoff weight for the plane as well as a per passenger fee. And the idea of this was to smooth out our income, because we know many planes are going to land each week from the various airlines. So we had a set income from that and then a variable income from each passenger. But the councillors discussed that. We debated that at length actually last week, and came up with the idea of not going ahead with that, sticking to the per passenger fee. We thought the airlines just coming out of the upheaval of a pandemic, the last thing we really should impose on the airline is a whole new charging regime, which then made it complicated for them to work out how to charge their passengers. So that one was put forward by staff and then rejected by councillors.
Because you have a reasonably busy airport, don't you?
Yeah, before the pandemic, we were actually over 200,000 passengers per year. Obviously, the pandemic knocked those numbers around dramatically, as they did across the world with airline travel. But we hope we'll get back up there to somewhere around that sort of same number in the very near future. Probably not this financial year, but hopefully by next financial year.
Yeah. And you've got things like, the Flying Doctor and stuff there as well, haven't you?
Exactly right. We've got a few things there that make it a very interesting airport. We've got the Royal Flying Doctor Service, so we've got hangars there and obviously planes going in and out. We've also got the RJ-85, and it's a fascinating plane to be in. It's the large aerial tanker that goes around and drops retardant on fires whenever we've got a fire somewhere. So that's a big plane that sits there most of the time just on the tarmac doing nothing, but then is obviously used when there is a fire somewhere in the region. So that's interesting as well. And then obviously normal charter flights, etc., that are there. So yeah, it is a pretty busy airport. We've also got the Rural Fire Service training facility there. There's a new police training facility being constructed. So it's a fairly active airport actually.
Very much so. Thank you for your time this morning, sir. I got a hell of a thunderstorm wandering through just at the moment, so it's going to be it's an interesting day. Actually, we've had a fair bit of rain. In fact, we've had about 8 to 9 millimetres so far this morning. So
yeah, it looks interesting on the weather front, doesn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Thank you for that, sir. Good to talk to you. We'll catch up.
Thanks, Kerry.
Mayoral Memo with Mathew Dickerson from Dubbo Regional Council.